Yes, overtime income can definitely be used in a mortgage application, but the criteria can differ from lender to lender. Let me talk you through it. So when assessing your overtime, the key thing that lenders are looking for is consistency, which is why normally they won't accept just 1 month of pay slips with overtime on. They normally want to see a range. So they may ask for 3 months or 6 months. 3 months is more common, and a lot of people get this wrong. Lenders need to see at least overtime on 2 of the 3 pay slips. Now, how they'll assess the income is they'll normally average your overtime over the full 3 months of pay slips requested. So, for example, if in month 1 you get overtime of £100, month 2 is £200, and month 3 is £300, that averages to £200. So lenders will then extrapolate that over a year to make £2,400, and that's the figure that they would use for mortgage affordability. So to prove your overtime income, lenders normally only need to see your pay slips and bank statements. But more importantly, on your pay slips, they normally expect the overtime to be labelled the same on each pay slip. So most commonly, it's just typically called overtime. Now, as long as it's stated overtime on each pay slip, lenders will treat that as the same income. But where people get unstuck is if their employer labels their overtime as different things on each pay slip, then that might confuse the lender, and rather than the lender taking and using that as overtime, they might not accept it at all. So I know some people get shift allowance and week pay, night pay, overtime, and it's labeled very differently. That can cause issues with the mortgage lender. So the best thing to do is speak to a broker. Like Boon Brokers, we can assess your pay slips and let you know which income should be accepted. So income consistency and sustainability is really important to mortgage lenders. Ultimately, they want to know that you can afford your mortgage throughout your mortgage term, which is why they'll ask for documents where they can verify that that's the case. If you've got a fairly stable job with stable overtime and it doesn't fluctuate too much, they might just ask for 3 months of pay slips. But if you've got a job where perhaps it fluctuates more and maybe there's more seasonal demand, they might ask for 6 months or even more in rare cases. So it really does differ from case to case, but ultimately the underwriters who work for the lenders are just trying to establish what your overtime is likely to be over the course of a year fairly consistently. So overtime income criteria differs from lender to lender. And before we get into this long list, it's worth stating that the lenders I list off today might not be suitable for you tomorrow. Criteria changes all the time, so it's worth speaking to a whole of market broker like Boon Brokers, and we can tell you what the overtime criteria is when you're looking to apply. But just to get into this list, you've got Nationwide, NatWest, and Santander, and they can normally accept up to 100% of your overtime income, and they need to see typically between 3 to 6 months of pay slips to do so. You've then got Barclays and Skipton, and they can normally accept 50% to 100% at the underwriter's discretion. They may ask for additional documents like P60s as well. And then you've got Halifax, HSBC, and Accord, who can often accept up to 60% of your overtime. Again, they're likely to request at least 3 months of pay slips. So by far, the most common pitfall that we see at Boon Brokers with clients who want to use overtime income is not understanding that lenders need to see 3 to 6 months of pay slips and actually how they assess the overtime income. A lot of people inquire and they've got their latest payslip with a really strong overtime figure, and they think that they can use that for mortgage affordability. Sadly, that's not the case. So most clients misunderstand that, and then when we actually explain it to them, they then understand that their affordability is a little bit lower perhaps than what they were thinking. And a couple more are applying for a mortgage before your overtime patterns have actually become consistent. I understand the need if you've had a few really good overtime months and you think, gosh, I can actually now borrow far more for my mortgage. That may seem inviting, but when you actually take out the mortgage, if your overtime then falls, you might struggle to meet the repayments because naturally you don't have much money coming in to cover the costs. So that's an important consideration. And then secondly, submitting incomplete payslips or missing supporting documents. That's a very common pitfall. Like I said before, a lot of people don't realize that your overtime needs to be labeled as the same on each payslip for lenders normally to use it fully in their affordability assessments. Overtime income criteria for mortgage applications can be an absolute minefield, and you want to ideally use the knowledge of an expert broker, like those at Boon Brokers, to help you get the correct information so you can apply with confidence for your most suitable mortgage lender. At Boon Brokers, not only are we whole of market, but we're also fee-free. We won't charge you at any stage of the mortgage process. We're happy with the commission that we receive when your case completes. And if for whatever reason it doesn't go ahead, there's no hard feelings. No hard feelings at all. We're more than happy to wait until you're ready to proceed. If you want to look at the reviews of Boon Brokers on our website, we're really proud of the reviews. We've got over 1,000 now, rated 5 stars. We're more than happy to help you. Thank you for watching this video on proof of income requirements to get a mortgage. If you'd like to apply for a mortgage, feel free to contact one of the brokers here at Boon Brokers. We're a whole of market, fee-free mortgage brokerage, and we'd be more than happy to help you.